I am not talking to the musicians that have it figured out, and you guys may say, I already make $70,000 and $80,000 a year at church and I'm already doing my thing. Hey, if that's working out for you, AKB. I made multiple six figures when I made this decision. Why I quit playing in church, part 1. All right, let's see what John Mike talking about. Let's check it out.
There's nothing wrong with being a church musician. There's nothing wrong with being paid to play. There's nothing wrong with having that as your side hustle, your side gig, whatever the case may be. There's actually nothing wrong with calling church, playing for church, being a gig. There's actually nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Some people, that's their gig. That's how they provide. I played for church for years and used it as a means to provide for my family. But what I had to realize and what I had to understand is the upside. This is what changed my whole perspective on church musicians and being in that world and doing that thing and putting all my chips, stacking all my chips on that. Was I began to examine what the upside of this look. How do you retire as a church musician? What do you do about health insurance as a church musician, life insurance as a church musician?
That's a good conversation right there. I'm glad this is becoming something that people are talking about more. I've never met a musician who only played in church and church was their full-time gig or job, and they was able to retire from playing in church. Most musicians probably haven't set aside money for the future, if I had to assume or guess. Comment down below if you know any musicians that have been able to retire from church because they're church, or if they themselves have set up enough money on the side to be able to retire from what they're doing.
What do you do about providing for your college education for your children? You know what I mean? Like, how does that bump that I'm playing, how does learning all of these songs, how does that attribute past me being able to provide for my family, being able to leave something for the next generation? How does that turn up? And when I started examining that piece of my life, I instantly realized that there's not much upside to this as my full gig. Now, there are some people that do work for awesome churches, awesome ministries. They get benefits, they get life insurance, health insurance,
Yep.
All of those things like that, great salary, all of those things. That's the outlier. Let's keep that a buck. Those type of positions are outlier positions. That's not the bulk of what most church musicians are.
If you want to see this full video, definitely go to my guy John Mike's page. This is a full 17-minute conversation, but I want to do a reaction to this video, and I want to share with you my thoughts on this topic about being a musician and the musicians that are quitting or walking away from church. I don't want to say quitting. This is a great conversation. There's so much more that I could say, but first of all, I will say currently in this season of life that I am in, I'm a full-time content creator. Church is part of my income that I am bringing in, but everything that I am going to say after this, what I will say is I am not knocking being a church musician. I am a part of a church that takes care of me. I'm on payroll, all of that good stuff. So shout out to my church. I'm very appreciative of that. But what I will say, as John mentioned, if you see church as your full-time thing that's going to set you up for the future, I would challenge you to look elsewhere. My thoughts on church and being a musician has always been, I'm going to use church as part of my income strategy, but not my main source. So what do I mean? If you make $500 a week, if you're blessed enough to make $500 a week at your church, that equals out to about $24,000 a year. So if you are a musician and church is your main gig, meaning you don't do nothing else but play in church, and you make $500 a week, you're only going to make $24,000 a year. Put it this way. In the USA, at least in Virginia, you cannot live off of $24,000 a year successfully. So when John says he doesn't see any upside in playing at church, he's not knocking church, he's not bashing it at all. But what I do think that he's coming for is challenging your thinking on being a church musician. I don't think being a church musician should be the pinnacle of your life. Even if you're blessed enough to get a church job that pays you $600 to $650 a week, that's still not enough money to really set you up in the future to get you where you need to be. So my advice to everyone, my advice even to my friends when I talk to them and we have these discussions, play at church, but also have another job lined up to kind of complement this church gig or church job that you have. So put it this way. If you make, let's say, $25,000 a year at church, you're only required to be there on Sunday, maybe once or twice a week. And you can find another job that's going to pay you, let's say, $40,000 a year. You're now at $65,000 a year from church and having another job. And also, I am not talking to the musicians that have it figured out. And you guys may say, I already make $70,000 and $80,000 a year at church and I'm already doing my thing. Hey, if that's working out for you, great. Maybe this video isn't for you. But I'm talking to the musician who is 21, 23 years old, and all they see is the now of, oh, I get paid $600 a week and I made it. I guarantee you do not want to do this for the rest of your life in terms of church being your main income. You need another income to kind of help you to live life comfortably. Like, we all want to live a life where we don't have to stress about money. And I think when we put all of our eggs in one basket and we only focus on, let me go play at this church at 8 o'clock. Let me go play at this church at 11. And then at 3 p.m. I have this other gig that I play at. And then I have to pick up gigs throughout the week. I can only speak for myself. I've never lived that life, but I do not want to live that life of having to take on gigs because this is my main income and this is my main job. Like, I think the biggest flex you can have as a musician and even as a church musician is, hey, I don't need to take this gig because I'm already good, you know? I think there's a lot of musicians taking gigs and they're saying yes to things that they don't want to do. So I say all that to say, in an ideal world, you want to have church as your part-time. Your church gig should kind of be like your play money. Like, we often hear about streams of income. There's a million things that you can do to make money in a legal way. I'll put it that way. But the idea is to have streams. And I think we limit ourselves when we only say that I want to be a church musician and this is all that I see. And the reason I say all of that is because it is very hard to build wealth and to live a life of freedom off of one income. So figuring out a strategy of creating streams of income is the way to go. That's all we got for today. Comment down below. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you agree or if you disagree. Be nice in the comments. If you disagree, just let me know. But that's all we got today. We are out.